Oh, yeah, you want it. Oh, no, I fixed that issue.
It's still many. Yes.
So every time someone says something. Here, here.
Sit down, please sit down. It's going to take us a few minutes to get used to this new setup. Sure.
Yours is nice and toasty in here.
I know, I may not.
You're okay and you're sleeveless. Still on the edge.
All right.
The-
Oh, all right. All right, be careful. You can usually raise it.
So much.
All right. All right. Good morning. Welcome back to docket number 250907, 250908, 250909, which address petitions filed by Nutmeg Public Access Television to assume responsibility for community access operations in various areas across Connecticut. As again, I'm Commissioner Holly Cheeseman, joined today by Vice Chair David Arconti, Commissioner Jan Beecher, and Commissioner Everett Smith. We're going to address administrative matters, take public comments. There's going to be, I think, a number of administrative matters we're going to need to address. Just want to ensure there are no further appearances we need to take today. No. All right. No further witnesses to be,
Commissioner Cheeseman,
Yes.
we do have Dennis Noel, who is Board Director and Chairman of Strategic Planning for Nutmeg TV. who was on the list but was not here yesterday, who needs to be
All right.
sworn in.
I will administer the oath. Could you please raise your right hand, Mr. Knoll? And if you could speak into the microphone. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Wedler, thank you. I'm going to ask Mr. Knoll about his testimony, unless you wish to address him on that regard.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
I will ask him. Mr. Knoll, I'm going to ask you a few questions about your pre-filed testimony in this matter. Do you have pre-filed testimony?
Oh, he does not.
He does not. All right. Well, we can skip that then. All right. Thank you. All right. Administrative matters. First of all, the monitors in the room are not working today. However, the meeting is being live streamed on YouTube, so you will be able to watch it. I know this is a small courtroom or hearing room. It may get a bit stuffy, but if you want to go out and watch it, you will have that ability. We do have a court reporter here, so it's again, there will be a transcript. Before you speak, if you can please identify yourself for the record. And are there any other administrative matters? Attorney Bogan and then Ms. Wedler. Good morning. So that was the video clip. All right. So that would be late file 8.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Ms. Wedler.
We have 2 read-ins, and due to accuracy, I want to ensure that they are accurate, and so I'm requesting that they be filed as late filed exhibits also.
So they were the balance of the PEG Pisha money?
Yes.
And the
I don't
the
have,
read in A?
I want to be accurate.
Yeah,
and
I don't
know.
have that in my
And what? The estimated cost savings,
oh,
Well,
of the consolidation.
yeah,
All right. So they will be designated late file 9 and 10 then.
yes, thank you.
All right.
And our other administrative issue is just on timing. We see that the OCC has requested certain time and Nutmeg TV has requested certain time, and we added the hours and saw that the hours are longer than the day. So I'm just wondering how you plan to handle that.
Well, obviously, I will make the same request that if people can condense their questions and be as efficient as possible. If necessary, we will have the ability to add an extra day to the schedule if we need to add more time for the evidentiary hearing. And it will be addressed because we want to ensure that everyone has appropriate process.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And if I, again, and I'll let Attorney Bester go, and then I'll have a few comments.
Morning, Commissioners. One of our clients, Optimum, has a witness that needs to step out around 1 o'clock. We're hoping that we're basically just requesting if we could postpone lunch until after they're finished. That would be preferable, but at least one of the witnesses will still be available.
All right, I think what we're going to do, we're going to split the difference and we will adjourn, recess for lunch at 12:30. And then everyone will do their best to address their questions to that witness. And then obviously, if there are further questions, we could request that as a late file.
Yes, yes, perfect, thank you.
And so my understanding from Robin was that there were a couple of parties who had audio video that they wanted to display on the monitors. We do not have that ability today. Again, you would have the ability to present it at the late filed hearing, or if you wish this to be contemporaneous, you could put it on a laptop and it could be shown to the witnesses in the panel of commissioners. I will give you that option. I apologize for our technical difficulties, but technology is what it is. All right. Any further administrative matters before us? Oh, and I will add, when we concluded on Monday, Pura attorney was up for questioning for Nutmeg. We are going to defer that in the interest of getting to optimum as soon as possible and respecting their time, and will accommodate everyone to the best of our ability. So I believe, as we are bypassing questioning from Pura, we are going to have a cross-examination of Optimum Communications at this point. And Office of Consumer Counsel, I have you first on our agenda. If you would like to proceed.
Let you guys go over there.
No.
And
You go.
they leave you over there. Fair. And then.
Yeah.
over here.
It's musical chairs time, people.
Yeah, you guys.
Yeah.
Wait, so with them, or do you want me? Sorry. So, you guys can just, we can get up and talk. Sure. If needed. Then for your name tag. I think it's right below your notes. She just said.
Is the witness panel ready?
Yes, we are, Commissioner.
All right, is the Office of Consumer Counsel ready to commence cross?
We are.
All right, thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Pascal and Poku, appearing with my colleague, Brianna Ash, for cross-examination today from the Office of Consumer Counsel. My colleague, Brianna Ash, should be starting with the cross-examination for this morning.
Good morning. To begin, I want to let you know that I've organized my questions by statutory prong 1 through 8 of Connecticut General Statutes 16-331A subsection C, which is the governing statute of these proceedings. Thank you. Some questions are specific to Area 1. Some sections are specific to Area 20, but I will indicate this to make it as clear as possible so we can move through as quickly as possible. We're ready, I'll begin. Can you please describe for us to start Optimum's role as a community access provider of PEG services in Area 1 and Area 20?
Thank you for the question. Optimum operates as the CAP provider in, we'll call Area 1 Norwalk, Area 20 Litchfield, by providing meaningful community access resources to those populations. In Norwalk, we have a studio available to the public. We have employees who dedicate time to providing public access, and it's the same for Litchfield. We have a studio in Litchfield, as well as employees that dedicate time. We also have equipment available for the public to use within those studios. And we also utilize a platform called TelView, where customers can upload content remotely, and we will put that content on our channels.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, but I should have asked you to identify yourself for the record, your position at Optimum. And for Ms. Greenleaf, before you address the hearing, if you could do so as well. Thank you. Apologies.
For the record, Brian Smith, Director of Connecticut Government Affairs for Optimum Communications.
Jennifer Greenleaf, Senior Counsel, Government Affairs for Optimum. And I just want to note for the commissioners and the record that we have with us Doug Harrell, who's the director of our Litchfield PEG studio, sitting behind us. He's not sworn in, but he is here with us. Thank you. So that everyone is on the same page, can you please explain for the record the significance of the P, the E, and the G when we reference PEG?
Public access is a resource available to customers in our two areas to create and distribute content to those areas. E and G is town-specific content, education, and government. So in specifically Area 1, those populations do create very town-specific content and air those on specified channels, 78, 79, and in Litchfield, it's Channel 5.
So that we understand, are the E and G channels always town-specific in Area 1 and Area 20, or is it different between them?
And to the Optimum panel, if I would prefer to swear in as you're in effect passing on his testimony. So if he could please come forward and identify himself.
I apologize. My name is Doug Harrell. I'm the access coordinator for Litchfield.
All right, thank you. If you could raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God, or upon pain or penalty of perjury?
I do.
All right, thank you.
Miss Ash, to follow up on your question, my understanding is that at least for the Litchfield area, and I think this is true for Norwalk as well, the channels, the E and G channels can broadcast content from any of the communities within the region. So there isn't a specific feed solely for Litchfield versus Torrington versus whatnot. But that content is aggregated onto the channel that is our public access channel.
Okay, thank you. I think I have more questions about that later on, but I'm going to stick with the first statutory prong. Thank you. Can you tell me, how does Optimum currently solicit feedback from the Area 1 and Area 20 communities regarding its PEG operations and community access needs?
Primarily, we solicit feedback through regular engagement with the area cable councils. Optimum and me personally, since my time in this role, attend monthly meetings, listen to what they discuss, ask for feedback.
Okay, thank you. Specific to Area 1, what can you tell us about the needs of Area 1's community as they relate to PEG and community access?
Our community in Area 1 is very supportive and enthusiastic about their town-specific E&G programming. As you heard on Monday, Ms. Wedler applauded Darien specifically. So they appreciate that platform and utilize it regularly.
Okay. And what can you tell us about the public channel in Area 1 and what entity manages the public channel?
In Area 1, Optimum manages the public channel. 15 programs were produced in 2025, for example, with a number of registered Telview users.
Can you explain to me, I realized as we were talking on Monday that I didn't have a great understanding of the relationship between the Telview platform and Optimum's management of the channel. So can you take us step by step through what would be the process from a consumer who is a Telview user that logged in to put their programming on? Does it give them a time slot? Like what part does Optimum play in that process?
My understanding is that first, to become a Telview user, you contact our company and we set you up with a user account. Once you have that user account and you have the opportunity to develop your content and upload it, the platform will give you the available time slots and that you can then select from the available time slots and kind of self-schedule your content to be put out on the air. Of course, subject to Optimum's review for legal compliance and whatnot, and to make sure it's not violating the law. But yes, they can self-select those times. I should also mention that the Telview platform is the same platform that our company uses internally to schedule programming that is provided to us through other means. So Telview is the holistic platform that schedules programming for the channel.
Thank you. And what can you tell us about the educational channel or channels offered in Area 1 and who manages those channels?
As mentioned in Area 1, E&G fall on Optimum's channels 78 and 79. And my understanding is the users submit content via Telview. So we would manage airing that.
Okay. So in each town, does the town have a representative that's a Telview user that follows the same process to upload the programming for their town?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
For each town, do they have, each of them have a registered user for Telview that follows that process to upload the programming for their own town channel?
I'm not fully sure if there's one dedicated user per town.
I would take that as a late filed exhibit.
So it would be the number of dedicated users per town or,
It would be whether each town has a Telview registered user that they use to upload their own content.
Tellvue, Tellvue, VIEW?
TELVUE. And to clarify, Ms. Ash, is that late filed exhibit specific to Norwalk or Area
Yes,
1?
we're on
Okay,
Area 1.
Great.
Thank you.
So does each town in Area 1 have a registered Tellvue user?
Yes, that
Okay.
Optimum has set up the account for, as they mentioned.
Okay. That would be late file 11, I believe.
If we're ready. Can you tell me, is Optimum the community access provider for the E and G channels in Area 1? Meaning that they fill the normal responsibilities of a CAP, such as filing annual reports, detailing the number of programs distributed, or assisting in production for E and G channels?
Broadly, yes, but some responsibilities have been passed along to individual municipalities.
Thank you. Can you explain for us if Optimum's role as the CAP in Area 1 differs in any way from its role in Area 20?
Yes, the role does differ. In Area 1, as our interrogatory suggests, there is a much heavier utilization of Telview and online upload and less utilization of the studio. So therefore, it's less hands-on on the day-to-day with people who are providing access. In Area 20, on the other hand, our studio is much more heavily utilized. The community seems to engage with that studio much more actively. Mr. Harrell, as we indicated, runs that studio full-time and works with the individuals who are there. So I would say it is different based on the needs that we've identified from the communities.
Thank you. Can you tell us if Optimum has made any community access expenditures over the last few years at the express request of the Area 1 communities, municipalities, or the Cable Advisory Council?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Has Optimum made any community access expenditures over the last few years at the express request of the Area 1 communities, municipalities, or the Cable Advisory Council?
For Area 1, annually, we provide about a $100,000 grant to they call themselves the A9CC, the Area 9 Cable Council, but that is the cable council that represents Area 1. So that is we expend that, but those funds are customer collected fees.
Can you repeat your question again?
Yes. The question was, has Optimum made any community access expenditures over the last few years at the express request of the Area 1 communities, municipalities, or the Cable Advisory Council?
Thank you for repeating it. None that we're aware of.
So if I may interrupt, Ms. Ash, so you disperse the $100,000 grant to the Cable Advisory Council, and then they make any necessary investments or purchases, but you yourselves are not spending the money directly. Is that my
Correct.
understanding? Okay. Thank you.
Can you tell us what portion of the community access budget is not inclusive of that $100,000 grant?
The 2024 expenditures in Area 1 were approximately $419,000. So the $100,000 grant would represent approximately 25% of the annual expenditures in Area 1.
And I'll go back to my original question, because I don't think I have clarity on that. Of the 75% of the budget remaining, or expenditures made with that 75%, were any of those expenditures made at the express request of the community in Area 1 or the municipalities?
The remaining 75% were spent on operational things, but to the extent that you're asking about investments in specific pieces of equipment or whatnot, no, we have not received any requests that I'm aware of. But no, none of that was done at their express request.
Thank you. I'd like you to please reference Optimum's opening statement in this docket. In Optimum's opening statement, it is stated that, quote, Nutmeg's position is that consumers continue to fund services they are not receiving. Optimum, by contrast, contends that consumers continue to fund operations they no longer want, end quote. I would like to better understand Optimum's contention that consumers do not want PEG operations. What can you tell me about how Optimum arrived at this position as it expressed in this record?
In the docket that Pura engaged in back in 2022, 220626, if I have the number correct, there was an inquiry into the ongoing necessity and funding of PEG. Optimum's position at that time, and consistently as reflected in this docket, is that the declining usage that we see in our studios suggests that fewer and fewer people are interested in engaging with public access television. Moreover, the increases and changes in technology that have come up in the 30 plus or more years since the PEG channels were implemented have rendered public access television and access to fully equipped studios, access to cable television, decidedly less necessary. This is further bolstered by the fact that, as Nutmeg indicated in its testimony and as Optimum has also agreed with, cable viewership continues to decline, which means that the original purpose of, or what I understand the original purpose of PEG programming was, which is to meet the community and to provide community access, is reaching fewer and fewer people because of the medium in which it's being broadcast.
Thank you. Can you clarify if the Area 9 Cable Advisory Council, Area 1 or 20 municipalities, or residents living in Area 1 or 20 provided Optimum with evidence that could be included in this record that supports Optimum's assertion that consumers do not want to fund PEG operations?
we did not collect any evidence from those parties.
Would it be accurate to say that all of the comments from members of the Area 1 and 20 community are in support of continuing to receive the PEG services they currently have?
I would certainly agree with your statement in the sense that they strongly prefer the current status of having Optimum as their PEG provider over the regionalized consolidated model proposed by PEG. I would also, to your question about the funding, I want to also suggest that Optimum's comments and position on this have been tempered by its interest in and advocacy on behalf of the consumers who are funding these services. And so it's not simply, we don't simply measure the value of PEG services or the interest in PEG services by the number of people who create programming as much as we do by the people who are paying for the services. So just a broader understanding that we have in terms of the population that PEG is designed to support.
Thank you for that explanation. Can you tell us if any members of the Area 9 Cable Advisory Council or the Area 1 or 20 municipalities or residents living in those areas specifically ask for Optimum to seek reductions in the PEG contribution amount that Pura sets annually?
I'm not aware of any, no.
And this may be somewhere else in the record, forgive me. Has Optimum requested any PEG contribution rate increases from Pura in the last 3 years?
Sorry, increases?
Decreases, thank you.
And I'm just going to jump in here, Attorney Bestor and Mr. Smith and Ms. Greenleaf. For the clarity of the record and to ensure we're adhering to the policies of the UAPA, we do need to ensure that the responses entering the record are your direct testimony and not those of your attorney. So just please bear that in mind as you move forward. Of course, you're free to consult with your counsel at any time, but we do want to make sure that this is your testimony that's entering the record. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you. To your question of, has Optimum requested a decrease over the past 3 years? The answer is no, but it's worth noting that in Area 1, the fee is at the statutory minimum currently.
Oh, did Optimum previously request a decrease that put it at that statutory low?
If I may, that is responses in NTV 33.
And thanks to my helpful colleague, I can confirm that in 2018, Optimum did request fee reductions and was granted fee reductions in both of its territories. Since then, we have maintained that our request of Pura every year is to only increase the PEG amount by the statutorily required amount, again, with concern for the customers and the increases in their bills.
Thank you. OCC is also interested in keeping rates low as is possible. But can you tell me, did members of the community ask that you request that decrease in 2018?
We don't have any personal knowledge of that. Neither Mr. Smith nor I was at the company at the time. But I believe I can confidently say that that was a company position, whether it was influenced by somebody else or not. That's been a company position for several years because of concerns for consumer rates.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to switch over to Area 20. So the questions from here on until I say otherwise will be Area 20 specific. What can you tell me about the specific needs of the Area 20 community as they relate to PEG and community access?
Would you mind clarifying what you mean by the specific needs of the community?
Yes. So I suppose I'll jump to my follow-up question, which is how you solicit feedback about the needs of the Area 20 community and sort of take what comes from there.
And the reason I'm asking for the clarification is that Optimum maintains very strongly that our position is to be a community access provider. Our role is not to develop content to, to actively do anything. Our goal is to make it available so that people in the public can use it if and when they want to. In terms of the way that we do solicit feedback, I would say it's a very organic process. Mr. Harrell, who is here, engages with the people who provide programming, has communications with people when they come into the studio, talks with them about it, talks with members of his community. He lives in Area 20. I believe that's true. And solicits feedback in that way in terms of engagement, responds to questions and any concerns that are raised from the community.
Thank you. I will clarify further the needs of the community. I sort of going back to those statutory prongs where we're talking about expenses and expenditures that the company spends money on, whether it be equipment to maintain studios or create quality programming or promote quality programming. Could also include if there are certain equipment that consumers want to use or learn how to use in a training that Optimum could offer, or different sets that they would need in order to create programming at Optimum's Area 20 studio. Along those lines.
Understood. I can speak from my visit to the studio. I went yesterday. And I can say that there are a number of sets. There are multiple cameras. I understand that a lot of people who come in and do programming bring their own sets and whatnot in, or pieces of equipment that are stored there at the studio. I imagine that if there was a request from somebody in the community, we would consider it. To date, I'm not aware that we have had any such requests, but it's certainly not something that the company would be opposed to. In terms of the specific equipment, in terms of the technology, we do still utilize SD cameras. I think the constant technological race where your iPhone is obsolete 6 months after you buy it makes that an expenditure that we've chosen not to engage in. For fear of, again, being wasteful with consumer funds.
By SD, do you mean standard definition?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Can you tell us how much it would cost to replace one of those SD cameras with a high def camera?
I can't. I have no idea.
No, I cannot either.
Thank you. If you can please reference NTV 8.
Do you have copies of the exhibits you can share? We didn't have them with us. We didn't know we needed them.
Have it.
Thank you. So from my understanding of Optimum's response to NTV 8, it looks like in all of Area 20, only the town of Litchfield has a town-specific channel, which is a public access channel. Is that correct?
Our understanding, and again, I'm passing along Mr. Harrell's information, is that we do not have any town-specific channels in Area 20, which means that response will need to be updated. But all of the communities in Area 20 feed their information in, and it is broadcast on the same channel across all of the areas, or across all of the towns within Area 20.
Okay. That shaves off 5 questions that I had. Thank you. Going to move to the second prong of the statute. If you can please reference OCC 1. The exhibits therein include the annual reports filed by Optimum. Can you please explain for us what the term average hours tape / live programming per week means as filled out by Optimum in their annual community access provider reports?
Can you help us with a page number, please?
Sure. That would be at the top of page 3 of each annual report. And again, for each channel beneath.
Generally speaking, to get rid of that number, we take the programming over the course of the year and divide it to come up with an average, as it does fluctuate throughout the year.
Thank you. And just clarify for me, please, what would qualify as live programming?
Live programming is legitimately live, like they're on air.
So would an example of live programming be streaming a Board of Ed meeting or a Board of Selectmen meeting contemporaneously as it happens with that, or broadcasting a sports event as it's taking place?
Yes, Commissioner. So your example would be, but Doug's also explained that we have some live programming.
So they are
in the
actually
studio as well.
go in the studio and someone's having a conversation or doing a demonstration and it's going out at the same time as that's being filmed.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to go back to Optimum's opening comments and the attachments that were filed as correspondence on February 2nd. It was stated therein by Optimum, quote, "In an age of ubiquitous internet access, numerous free content distribution platforms, and trends favoring streaming entertainment over traditional cable television, the current PEG funding model has long outlived its usefulness." End quote. Can you clarify for me, is this statement by Optimum recognizing that consumers prefer to stream content online via online platforms and social media apps today?
That is a very loaded and challenging and complicated question to answer. So I'm going to try to answer it a couple different ways and tell me if I'm answering the right question. The trends in terms of cable viewership have declined significantly over the past, I'd say 15 years. I think we've gone from, 80+% of households subscribing to cable to 36 within that very short time frame. So I think there's definitely a demographic viewership trend that focuses people more towards other methods of entertainment. I'm by no means a Gen Z, but I do understand that there is a generational shift as well, where people do prefer social media apps for engaging with content, for live streaming, get ready with me, or whatever the nature of it is. There's a lot more live content that is broadcast over free platforms. So yeah, I think there definitely is a shift towards that. The challenge in the context that we're talking about here is that, PEG operates in a system and structure that was designed 30 or more years ago. So I do think there are some updates needed. Nutmeg and Optimum agree on that front, very much so.
Thank you. That does help. I do want to reference Optimum's responses from NTV 6 and NTV 7. Can you just clarify for me if Optimum has set up an online presence for PEG in Area 1 or 20?
We have not.
Okay.
And we've chosen not to do so because, again, we're very cognizant of subscriber funds in two forms. Number one, we are cognizant of wanting to keep those costs low. And to a certain extent, we're also cognizant of making sure that when we expend money, we're prioritizing it on the people who actually pay for the services that we're providing. Maintaining those, uploading those, keeping track of social media, all of that takes time and employee resources and costs that would decrease our ability to spend other monies on PEG. So we are very cognizant of that. And in order to do that, would have to increase customer bills, which is something we don't want to do.
Thank you. This question is Area 1 specific. Does Optimum make any volunteering opportunities available to members of the Area 1 community?
As a company, do we offer volunteer opportunities to people that reside in Area 1? Is that what you're asking?
Do you volunteer at your studio?
Oh, specifically at the studio. Not that I'm aware of.
So would it be accurate that there isn't any volunteer participation for community access in Area 1?
Yeah, the Area 9 Cable Council, their meetings are volunteer. It's a volunteer organization. So
But that's not something Optimum is responsible for, correct?
You're correct that we're not responsible for it. However, I also understood your question to be within the entire area. And so we wanted to make sure they were acknowledged for their dedication to the platform.
I appreciate the thoroughness. Thank you. I'd like to reference the exhibits in OCC 1, which again include those community access provider reports for Area 1 between 2021 and 2025. It looked to me, as I was reading through them, that there were no trainings offered by Optimum in Area 1 in any of the annual reporting years. Is that correct?
Can you help us again with the page?
Sure. So the training opportunities are normally listed on the bottom. And outreach. Sorry, it's the top actually of page 7. It's for the Area 1.
Okay, got it. Can you repeat your question?
Am I correct to understand that there were not any trainings offered in Area 1 for those reporting years by Optimum?
So we offer private trainings to groups and individuals when requested.
Does Optimum promote any of these trainings that groups could know to request them?
Right, we promote PEG generally, but promotion of specific training programs, I'm not aware of any.
Thank you. Does Optimum have a relationship with any Area 1 local schools or youth organizations where it might offer trainings on audio or visual equipment?
Your question is, do we maintain relationships with school districts within Area 1?
Or youth organizations where Optimum would offer trainings on audio or visual equipment?
We maintain relationships, but to my knowledge, again, haven't promoted specific PEG training opportunities to those school districts.
Thank you. Can you tell me, does Optimum offer or has Optimum offered any internship opportunities at its Area 1 studio?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
We're going to speed run these same questions through Area 20, okay? Can you tell me, are there any volunteer opportunities that Optimum makes available to members of the Area 20 community?
My understanding is that if members of the community are interested in volunteering, they can, but we don't have a formal program for doing so.
And is it correct that no training programs are promoted by Optimum in Area 20?
They are offered.
Uh,
Give me 1 second. I'd like to check with Mr. Harrell. I'm rapidly learning that Mr. Harrell is quite the salesperson and marketer. He does promote the trainings personally. And as a result of that, several people have engaged and taken him up on those trainings.
Well done, thank you. Can you tell me if Optimum has any current plans to increase community participation or to increase the number of programs that are produced at the Litchfield facility in Area 20 this coming year?
In terms of a structured plan to do so, the answer is no. However, to the best of my understanding, the vast majority of the company's time slots are filled, and we have seen an increase in community-generated content over the course of the past year or two.
Thank you. Going back to page 7 of the, we'll go to the 2025 annual report for Litchfield. There is a section on page 7 which asks, describe all procedures used to solicit feedback on the training program, attach any letter, survey mailed to trainees. That section appeared blank on the annual report. So can you confirm, is there an attachment to the annual report somewhere else or in the record already that details how Optimum solicits feedback on training?
There is not an attachment that is missing. I think this is another situation where we solicit feedback organically, but not in a structured, written down manual way.
Okay, thank you. And does Optimum have a relationship with any local schools or youth organizations in the Litchfield area 20, where it offers trainings on audio or visual equipment?
Yes.
Awesome. Can you tell me about those?
I can tell you what Mr. Harrell's about to tell me. Hold on.
Would it be simpler as he's been sworn in for him to testify directly? Or would you prefer it to come through Ms. Greenleaf? It's your option.
Yeah, come on up. You've already been sworn in.
Welcome.
And not to refer to you as a horse, but it seems simpler to hear it from the horse's mouth, as it were. Take the expert testimony. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, for the record, if you could identify yourself for our court reporter.
My name is Doug Harrell, or Douglas. I'm the access coordinator for the Litchfield region for Optimum Cable TV.
Thank you. And if you can proceed with the answer.
So this was relationships with local schools. We have relationships with all of the local schools. A lot of them, we show a lot of their graduations and performances. They have sent people to train and have been trained on our equipment, but a lot of times they prefer to do it in-house and then submit the content to us. So I physically receive their content and approve it, that there's no copyright infringement. If you do Pirates of Penzance, you can't air it necessarily because you need the rights to that. But we do have a relationship with all area schools. We work with them. They have trained there, or they've shot on the outside and then aired it on both the education channel and the PEG channel.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can you tell me, does Optimum offer or has Optimum offered any internship opportunities at its Area 20 studio?
It's specific, I don't think there's an internship there's plenty of volunteer opportunities, and we do have volunteers. And we have had young people volunteer as well, like high school age. But I don't think there's a program in place for college credit, for example. But we do have anybody can volunteer. And I take them through it, what it would entail. And a lot of times timing is a problem. Kids work, which might take up the time that they would normally use to volunteer. But we do have volunteer opportunities, yes.
Thank you. Okay. I might be shifting back this way for my next set of questions.
I apologize, I missed that, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I think Ms. Ash was just saying she's going to refer to your the two other panelists. So you may be released for the time being, but that doesn't mean you won't be called back. Thank you.
well said. Thank you. Okay, we're shifting to the third prong. Can you please reference OCC 10 and OCC 12? When we're there? Okay. OCC's understanding of the responses here is that Optimum explains that PEG funds are not held in segregated accounts, but are held in Optimum's corporate bank account upon subscriber payment and are drawn down from as needed to fund PEG operations. Is that correct?
Yes,
And can you clarify, are funds consolidated to serve both Area 1 and Area 20? Or does Optimum take steps to ensure that the PEG funding from Area 1 is not distributed to Area 20 and vice versa?
As you noted, we do keep all of the funds in non-separate bank accounts. So this becomes much more of an accounting exercise. That being said, we do budget for each area and we do base our budgets on that area and therefore the money that comes into that area.
Okay. Does Optimum have a rainy day contingency fund associated with its PEG operations that is intended to cover unexpected costs for Area 1 and Area 20?
We don't have a specific one, but again, as you noted, or as the record notes, we're currently running a deficit. And so where there's a deficit, Optimum steps in to make sure that the obligations are satisfied.
Thank you. That's a good segue into my next question, which is with regards to the response to OCC 13, also OCC 10. I understand that the operations in Area 1 and 20 cost more than the amount of the PEG fees collected in those areas. Can you tell me roughly how much more it cost Optimum to fund PEG operations in Area 1 specifically in 2025 than the just over $300,000 that was collected from subscribers?
just one moment, please.
Based on the records that we have in front of us, we can speak to the 2025 income and the 2024 expenses. I don't have the 2025 expenses in front of me. That being said, the 2025 income was approximately $304,000. The cost of operating those facilities the year prior, which would only stabilize or increase, was about $419,000. So it's a rough deficit of approximately, what is that, $115,000.
Thank you. And same question for Area 20, if you could provide the same sort of accounting of how much more it cost Optimum to fund PEG operations in Area 20 than the $141,692.01 collected from subscribers in 2025.
That extra penny is, it's a good one. We collected in 2025, $141,000, give or take. As you mentioned, Ms. Ash, our 2024 expenses were $226,000, and therefore we operated at a deficit of approximately $80,000.
Thank you. Can you explain what makes it so expensive to operate each PEG studio?
I don't know what you mean by so expensive in particular. The expenses that we allocate for the PEG are detailed in the annual PEG reports that we file. They include, facilities, utilities, staff time, taxes, overhead, all of the general things that you would associate with running any type of organization.
Mm-hmm. My understanding is that normally that would be accounted for in the budget so that an organization isn't running a deficit. Is that how it's handled in Optimum's budget?
We make no bones about the fact that we are running at a deficit, and we have chosen intentionally as a company to operate in that space rather than raising fees on subscribers. We believe that we're doing what's required by the law. In order for us to not run that deficit, we would have to increase costs for our subscribers and for other cable subscribers in the state. And that's, something that we're very uncomfortable doing given the declining subscriber rates and increasing costs of cable television.
Can you detail what specific regulatory obligations are the most expensive to meet as it pertains to expenditures for operations and facilities?
I can Could you repeat it one more time so I make sure I'm answering the right thing?
Problem. Can you detail what specific regulatory obligations are so expensive to meet as it pertains to operations and facilities that it would cause this deficit?
Yeah, I think the best reflection of that is on page 5 of our annual report that's filed. So we do spend a significant amount of money on salaries and payroll taxes. Which one is this for? Is this Norwalk? Yeah. So for example, in Norwalk, where we collect approximately $360,000, if my memory serves, salaries and wages, payroll, employee benefits, and whatnot are over $150,000 of that. And we try to staff very leanly to keep those expenses down. The remaining expenses and costs associated with that are certainly for buildings and equipment, the grants that we give to the Area 9 Cable Council, and then miscellaneous overhead, probably in that order.
Thank you. If memory serves, there are 3 employees that Optimum has for PEG access operations in Connecticut,
Officially, yes.
Correct.
and these employees are shared between both the Area 1 and Area 20 studios. Is that correct?
Yes, though Mr. Harrell is primarily, I think, almost exclusively here in Litchfield.
Okay. And also, if memory serves, one employee had the percentage of time allocated to PEG as 90%. Is that correct?
That was
That's-
Mr. Harrell. And in speaking with him, I've learned it's probably closer to 100%. So I also think we're probably underreporting some of the expenses associated with employees and personnel.
Okay. And the other two employees are also part-time at 15 and 17%. Is that correct?
If that's what's in our report, then yes.
Um, Can you remind me what the expenditure was for salaries in 2025? I think you said page 5. Maybe I could take a look myself.
If we can't locate that immediately, could we get that as a read-in? Or have you located it?
I keep finding the Norwalk one and I'm having trouble putting my finger on the Litchfield
I
one.
believe all of the Litchfield ones are following all of the Norwalk ones. So there'll be 5 in a row for Norwalk and then 5 in a row for Litchfield.
116, if memory serves. OCC 1-1-6.
Sorry, what was the specific question again?
This was the amount of salaries cumulatively for 2025.
Why don't we take that as a read-in?
We can,
Sure.
thank you.
So that'd be read-in C, amount of salaries. Is this specific to the Litchfield area, Ms. Ash? Or total for the two?
Total, since the employees are shared between both studios, the total would be more helpful.
Total of salaries in 2025
Yes.
dedicated to PEG operations.
Yes, and that number should probably include the taxes, the payroll taxes associated with those.
So total employee costs for
Yes.
PEG operations in 2025.
Thank you.
Could I ask a question?
Absolutely
Well,
not.
that's
Yes,
what
go
I-
ahead, Commissioner.
So I'm in this low position. I don't know if you think it would be helpful, but it would be helpful if we could get an Excel breakdown of the 3 plus the consolidated areas with the detailed expense listing. So you see allocation to each of the areas and then the total. And some detail on the expenses. So for example, I'm just looking randomly at Litchfield plus et cetera. And payroll taxes like $26,000 and salaries are 60,000. And that seems like a very high, it includes benefits, I know, but it seems like a very high number relative to the salary number. So if we could get a little more detail on that, it'd be helpful.
That would be very helpful. Thank you.
There is an explanation in the record.
Okay, and if there is, I apologize for not knowing it.
Oh, it's okay.
To clarify, the question is the breakdown of the employee costs.
Well, I'd just like to see, well, what I'd really like to see is, kind of at a high level, here's all the revenue you get from all subscribers. Okay, and here's all the money you spend, and you're spending more than you get apparently. So then the expenses, if we could break them down, and like in these reports, they're broken into categories, which is kind of useful. But if we could break them down into the key categories on expenses by area and then in total. And then I just had that specific question about payroll taxes, which includes benefits. Seems high relative to salaries, and I'd love to know a little more about that.
So you'd like to see a more detailed breakdown of expenses?
I'm not.
It'd almost be like a segment level P&L, basically, I'm looking for.
Okay, I don't think such a document exists. If you would like us to create it, we can certainly try. It's going to involve some accounting employees that are not here right now.
So we could take that as a late file, the late file
to be a
12.
late file.
Yeah, and
and-
we don't have to get into excruciating detail, but enough to see what's going on.
Yes, there is an explanation of how the numbers are derived, which was submitted as supplemental OCC 23. So
Uh,
that was,
Attorney Bester, do you feel that gives sufficient detail
it's not,
in the
it
record?
doesn't show numbers. It's not an Excel spreadsheet. So I think an Excel spreadsheet could be provided, assuming it's possible.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand the financial picture.
Let's call, that would be late file 12, a more detailed breakdown of expenses, basically, again, to the best of your ability.
Okay,
Sorry, that's number 12.
Correct.
something that sort of just resembles a P and L.
When you're ready.
Oh,
Thank you.
one more question on that. Is 2025 sufficient?
Yes, thank you very much.
I can tell you their records probably don't go back that long.
Okay. If we're ready, we'll move to Area 1. I'd like to better understand Optimum's operating plan for its CAP activities in Area 1. Is there an operating plan in the record other than the information which is filed in the annual reports in response to OCC 1?
We did not submit anything else.
Does Optimum have an operating plan for its CAP activities in Area 1?
We don't have anything written. I think we've been doing it. We operate it. So we know what goes on, but we don't have it in writing in a formal document that I'm aware of.
And would that be the same for Area 20?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. I understand from correspondence in the record that was submitted by the Area 9 Cable Advisory Council that there is a government mandated financial arrangement that the community in Area 1 values. I think that's the $100,000 grant that you were discussing earlier. Can you explain the history of this grant and the method of distribution of PEG funding to the Area 9 Cable Advisory Council in Area 1?
I can take the first part of that question, which is the history. This well predates me at the company, but my understanding was when Pura used to issue franchises to particular areas, the provision of this grant to Area 9, or what they call Area 9 Cable Council, was baked into that agreement. And then when the method of franchise approval changed, that carried over. And I believe there's a Pura docket somewhere that authorized or directed us to continue doing that. So we have continued to do that to date. In terms of the method in which it is given, is it quarterly? I think let me ask Brian that.
I just have it as an annual expenditure. I don't know the cadence of the distribution.
You referenced a Pura document directing Optimum to continue doing that. Can we have that as an LFE?
That is in the record.
Fantastic.
It is Exhibit OCC 25, and it is the decision of the predecessor to Pura, Department of Public Utility Control, in docket number 050410. That is, I believe, the final application for Cablevision of Connecticut for franchise renewal. The decision date is January 10th, 2007.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Can you tell us, does the Area 9 Advisory Council provide a written report back to Optimum on how the grants were distributed and what was produced with the grant funding?
All of that information is published on their website.
On, sorry, the Area 9 Cable Advisory Council's website?
Correct.
So it is not sent to Optimum?
Not that I'm aware of, but it's made public.
Does Optimum specifically ask for that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
If, if I may, there is in the record, comments submitted by Area 9 Cable Council dated May 27th, 2026.
Mhm.
And I believe that that document contains additional information relevant to your line of questioning.
Okay. So the website was referenced in their correspondence? Am I correct to understand that?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And forgive me, I think I need to consult with Attorney Poku for a moment on whether that's in the record. I'm looking to determine if those reports that Area 9 provides to show how they spent the grant money that they write on their website, that they publish on their website, are those in this record?
Yeah, just found in the notes that I have jotted down. They file annually in December with Pura
Okay.
where those dollars go.
Okay. Can we actually get those submitted into the record as a late file, the annual reports from Area 9, since it's part of the Area 1 territory that Optimum is the community access
So
provider for?
From what years?
I
Just
would
the
like the
current
same
year?
years that Optimum provided, 2021 through 2025.
So the annual reports by the Cable Advisory Council from Area 9
Correct.
from 2021 to 2025.
Yes, thank
And
you.
that's late file 13.
We will do our best to supply those. We haven't, I haven't reviewed them personally.
All we ask is your best effort.
Thank you.
We sometimes expect miracles, but we're not in the business of enforcing them. Not all the time, anyway.
Okay, thank you. All right. If you can please reference NTV 8. That exhibit lists origination points in Area 1 for programming?
Yes.
Okay. To your knowledge, do any of the origination points listed in Area 1 have their own studios or local access points where they produce public, educational, or government content?
I can't speak to whether they have their own studios, but to the extent that they are producing content outside of the studio, then yes, they have another location that they're producing content.
And are those likely alternate community resources? Are they accounted for in Optimum's Area 1 operating plan?
Could you clarify what you mean by accounted for?
So when you are considering the use of Optimum Studio in Norwalk, and you're planning for what you're going to need in terms of staffing or equipment, in the event that there are additional studios in Area 1 that are run by the municipalities, which they would use primarily in lieu of Norwalk's, I mean, just what I asked, is that accounted for in Optimum's operating plan, that the studio would not need to be used as frequently if the towns have their own?
Our understanding of current requirements is that we are required to operate a studio in the area. So we do not discount the value of that studio on the supposition that people would be able to use another building or facility that is not provided by the CAP.
That is fair. Can you remind me the hours of operation that the studio is open to the public in Norwalk, Monday through Friday?
I don't have that information.
But our understanding in speaking with people is that the studio is available by appointment.
It's available by appointment, but it's not open for the public to walk in and use it during normal business hours without an appointment?
No, it's when you reach the studio, there's contact information to reach out if you're interested in PEG and to contact somebody to schedule time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to run this scenario so that we understand the sort of shared personnel operations between Litchfield and Norwalk. If a resident from Area 1 arrives at the Norwalk studio and they want to create a program at the studio, but the person who is responsible for opening the Norwalk studio is in Litchfield, would that member of the public be able to create content during normal business hours? Could they get in?
It's a slightly more complicated question than that, if you'll indulge me, which is nobody would come to the studio and be granted access to use the equipment that we have had they not gone through some sort of training and been in touch with people there. So the situation that you're describing of somebody just showing up and wanting to film something that day on the spot doesn't really exist because of the required training to use the equipment. That being said, once they're in contact with the PEG studio or facility, they would be able to schedule time. I can't speak specifically for that, but I know that Mr. Harrell makes the Litchfield studio available at all hours of the day, including staying very late at night to do so. So I know that we're very flexible in doing that. To your question about whether there would be a conflict between somebody being in Litchfield versus Norwalk, we do have 3 people that are dedicated to our PEG or that have some sort of PEG access obligations. And so if Mr. Harrell were obligated in Litchfield, then one of our other staff members would cover the Norwalk facility to make it available.
Okay. So what you're describing to me is that there are multiple personnel who could open the Norwalk studio. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So in the annual reports on page 2, Optimum is asked, list each facility and identify the entity responsible for managing its operations. But there is no individual or entity listed and no contact person specified. So is there another way that the public is notified as to whom they might call if they needed to schedule an appointment or open the studio?
Yeah, so if you're John Smith, resident of Area 1, shows up to Norwalk.
Yeah.
It's a shared building, Optimum-owned building. There's a retail store. There's our head end, some corporate functions, some construction functions. So it's a larger building. You show up, walk in the lobby area, you'll see a bulletin board that says, if you are interested in producing or airing content, call this number. the individual could call that number and the process starts.
Okay, so to clarify, a person walking into the Optimum owned building could get into the store and have somebody help them buy something, but they couldn't make PEG programming without an appointment?
I think we're talking, that feels like yes, our retail stores are open, but to suggest that that means that we prioritize one or the other, which seems like the insinuation is probably not accurate. I would say that the nature of the engagement is significantly different. There's schedules that have to be managed. We don't have multiple studios. There aren't multiple people who can use it at any given time. So making an appointment is a very reasonable expectation for somebody using the studio. And again, as I mentioned, there are trainings that have to be done ahead of time. So again, the idea of somebody walking in off the street and using TV-like cameras is just not a situation that exists. Anybody can contact Optimum and get access to TelView to be able to upload their content, can drop off DVDs, flash drives, whatever it is that they want in order to get content on the air, even when the door is closed.
And if a resident of Area 1 wanted to make an appointment in Norwalk at the same time as an Area 20 appointment needed to be made, there would be a person available at the same time in both studios that's capable of managing all of the equipment and assisting with the production as needed? Or would one of those, the secondary person, be a manager without technical expertise?
Two parts to that question, or two
there are.
parts to my answer. The first part is, yes, we do have sufficient personnel to cover both locations if there is interest in producing in both locations. The second part is that typically speaking, at least my understanding of the requirements is that the PEG provider is not required to edit, produce, film the presentation, whatever it is. The people who produce the content, that's why they get training on the equipment so that they can then produce things. That being said, our employees are always happy to step in and help, but the expectation and obligation is not that we produce the shows for them. It is that we provide them access to a studio to be able to produce the content that they want to produce.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to jump to the next section. This is the fifth prong. In response to OCC 11, Optimum states that no Connecticut-specific budget is made. Is that correct?
Which number again?
OCC 11.
And just the question one more time, please.
Is it correct that Optimum stated no Connecticut-specific budget is made?
Per PEG, correct.
And is it correct that Optimum did not submit a budget, either Connecticut-specific or otherwise, for Pure's review in the record in this docket?
Correct.
Okay. Are you aware that the statutes at 16-331A subsection C expressly names the organizations and the company's proposed budget as a criterion for evaluating the most qualified community access provider?
I see the statute, yes.
Would you like to include what budget you have as a late filed exhibit?
To the extent that it would be helpful, we're happy to forecast based on last year's budget. However, recognizing that because of the way that we derive our budget and expenses every year, it's going to mirror functionally what's already there because it's a calculation of salary and expenses. So we're happy to provide it, but also recognize that it's going to be a significant deficit again.
I'm sorry, you referenced what's already there. Are you talking about the expenditures listed in the annual reports or a proposed budget that's somewhere in the record already,
The information that's already in the annual reports,
which is retrospective, correct?
retroactive, yes.
Okay. So just to clarify, Optimum has no prospective budget process for Connecticut.
As we referenced in OCC 11, we do set a budget for all of our overall PEG operations. The amount of that is, but the amount of money that we end up spending is based on the revenues that come into the company through cable subscriber fees. So yeah, we don't forecast a budget in terms of Connecticut specific expenditures. We spend what we're required to spend.
Okay, thank you. Can you confirm whether the attorney costs and other associated legal fees that Optimum incurs from this docket will be allocated to PEG's budget?
Can you repeat that?
Yes. It's more simply put, will the attorney costs and other associated legal fees that Optimum incurs from participating in these dockets today and Monday and in the future, will these fees be allocated to PEG's budget? Will PEG subscriber funds pay for that?
We haven't made that determination yet, but I will again reiterate, and I know it sounds like I'm beating the figurative dead horse, but we are run a deficit. So to the extent that we would report these fees as expenses to the PEG budget, they would be covered by the company ultimately because the PEG funds are insufficient to cover regular operations.
Thank you. Please reference OCC 7. This is with regards to Area 1. It appears from Optimum's response that 0 local residents, individuals, or organizations produced content at the Norwalk studio in 2025. Is that correct?
Physically in the studio, correct.
So does that mean that there were no appointments made to produce content in 2025?
To the best of my knowledge, that is correct.
Okay, so can you tell us what staff hours were allocated to the Norwalk studio if there was no usage and no appointments?
To support customers who utilize Telview for the area. That encompasses reviewing material, scheduling, programming, et cetera.
And does that work to schedule or use Telview require being in the Norwalk facility, or can that be done remotely?
My understanding is you can do that remotely.
So do any Optimum employees need to be at the Norwalk studio?
If someone were to schedule to be there, if a customer were to schedule to be there, then yes.
Okay, thank you. I think we're going to skip down to the last section and hopefully wrap up within the next few minutes. Does Optimum have a compliance checklist that it uses to meet its federal and state requirements?
Do you mind repeating?
Yep. Does Optimum have a compliance checklist that it uses to meet its federal and state requirements?
Like a physical written checklist?
Mhm.
No.
Their federal and state requirements as regard to PEG
Thank you.
provision?
Yes.
No.
Okay. What procedures does Optimum have in place to ensure compliance with all of the federal and state laws as well as Connecticut specific regulations?
We have really well-trained employees and we utilize outside counsel to advise us on our legal and statutory obligations.
Okay. I'm going to reference some of the regulations that are specific to Connecticut. And these are located at Connecticut Agencies Regulations, Section 16-331A-11. These are the standards for determining adequacy. Under subsection E, B, the standards for adequate promotion, evaluation, and assessment of community access are established. Can you please confirm for me the following items? First, is there a bill insert or brochure that Optimum mails to all customers at least annually describing the purposes and accomplishments of community access and the procedures for becoming involved in community access?
If I could take a step back, and I promise I'm not trying to be difficult here, my reading of that regulation, which I did review very thoroughly last night, indicates a couple things. First, that they are not necessarily requirements, but they are guidelines for what the commission would determine or would by definition determine is required or is sufficient service. It's not necessarily an absolute list in terms of the way that I read the beginning. I'm not supposed to be a lawyer up here and I apologize for that. But the second thing that I want to just throw out there is that those standards haven't been updated in 30 years. So I just want to be clear that some of the things that we do probably don't comply letter by letter with those recommendations, but that's because technology and a gazillion other things have updated in the past 30 years since Pura last reviewed those regulations. So wanting to set that gloss so that I'm not indicating, in our opinion, that we are doing anything one way or the other that is violative of law. We think we're doing everything that we're required to do.
I appreciate the disclaimer.
Thanks.
I will repeat the question though.
Sure.
Okay. These are the standards for determining adequacy. The first question is there a bill insert or brochure that Optimum mails to all customers at least annually describing the purposes and accomplishments of community access and the procedures for becoming involved in community access?
I don't know the answer to that. I'd want to check with somebody. If we could do a read-in later, I would appreciate it.
That would be fine.
So existence of annual notifications to customers about PEG access and accomplishments?
Yes. And how to participate.
That would be read in D.
May just note that on the monthly bill, because I looked, says your bill includes payments required under Optimum's franchise agreement to support public educational or government channels. So we'll confirm on some sort of separate insert, but to my understanding that.
So the bill has a line item about the charge, but not
Yeah, it's under
necessarily,
taxes and fees, correct?
but not necessarily these are all the wonderful things that the PEG channel is doing and how you can make your own show. Okay, thank you.
If such a bill insert exists, could we get a copy of that in the record as a late filed exhibit? Great.
That would be late file 14. Copy of any existing bill insert on PEG notification.
Does Optimum have a mechanism by which the company obtains an annual financial report from any individuals or groups who receive any direct monetary contribution from the company, identifying what funding was received and how and by whom it was spent?
Yeah, as mentioned before, our Area 9 Cable Council files an annual report in December that lists that out.
Does Optimum establish specific goals for community access and periodically assess achievement of those goals?
We consider goals to be compliance with our requirements under Connecticut law, and we do assess that annually when we file the PURA report or the annual PEG report with the authority.
And does Optimum conduct an annual evaluation, which it submits to the department, which it completes after soliciting, receiving, and incorporating comments from the advisory council, access users, community members, and subscribers of the effectiveness of the company's community access program and the achievement of the program's goals?
We submit our annual report to PURA on the PEG operations.
Please skip down to Connecticut Agencies Regulations at section 16-331A 2A. This is under the header number of community access channels required.
Should I be looking at a copy of the regulation right now?
You may. I can
don't
read
have
it
a copy
if you
of it.
like.
Can you say which one?
Section 16-331A 2 subsection A.
Okay, I have it.
Thank you. Therein it is stated, the franchise holder shall keep a record available for public inspection of the requests for and use of access channel time. Such records must be retained for not less than 2 years. Can you confirm if such records of the requests for and use of channel access time for the last 2 years are currently in the record?
These specific records are not, the summation of the information in these records is contained in the annual PURA reports or the PEG reports that we file with PURA that are in the record.
Okay, so to confirm, the records of request for and use of channel time are reported in PURA's annual reports as one of the attachments, and that's where I can find that information annually?
No, a summation of that information is contained in the answers to that report, but the records themselves are not in the annual report that we file with PURA.
Okay. If there is information that is responsive to that, can we get it as a late filed exhibit for the last 2 years as the regulation has specified?
I believe that would be late file 15.
Thank you. Yes, we'll provide it.
And sorry, can you describe again what you are looking for?
It is records of the requests for and use of access channel time for 2 years.
Are you looking for this in both areas?
Yes, please. Thank you.
It'll be late file 15, if I see shaking heads. Okay.
Thank you. Last question. Is it Optimum's position that Optimum is the most qualified party to be the community access provider for areas 1 and 20? Yes. Thank you. OCC has no more questions.
Apologies. All right. I believe Nutmeg. Oh, of course, apologies. And yes, commissioners, if you have any questions.
I just had one quick question for you guys. So during part of this proceeding, I was surfing the web, so if I look distracted, but I was doing it because I just wanted to see if I was a person who wanted to do some community access programming, like I want to do this week in Pura and really have fun with your audience. What would I do? But when I go online, I can't find anything anywhere about how to do anything. I used AI. I went to your website. Maybe you could walk me through how is it you make it easy for a regular person like me to figure out how to do public engagement in community access broadcasting?
If you will indulge, I think Mr. Harrell is probably best suited to answer that. Do you mind explaining?
Big question. Here we go. Well, guess it's on. All right, so you wanted detailed in how you would do a show.
Easier than that. I don't want to drive around Norwalk looking for a bulletin board with a phone number to call. I want to understand, what do I do first step and engage with you guys to create some broadcasting?
You would, our number is listed. You would call me, even after hours, I return all calls, and then we would go over, or you could drop by the studio and drop in and then ask questions. I want to do a show. How would I go about this? And I take you through the whole thing, which you can do with a Pura show, which you can't.
So I'm still at the first step though. I just went on the internet, which should tell me everything in the world, right? I couldn't find a number. I couldn't find a reference. The best I could do is find some references to Brooklyn.
Right.
New York and Brooklyn. So how is it I figure out what to do? How do I find, you or your equivalent and take that first step?
It's just, all I can say is it's a little old fashioned. We have the phone number. You can call me and the studio is open. You can drop in and see me. If you go to the cable store in the same facility, they're not going to try and sell you something or upsell you something. Those guys actually know. They say that's in back. You want the guys in back, go to the other parking lot and go in that door and they'll help you. Or if somebody has a drop off, it's the same thing. Go in back, there and back, and then I'll meet with you. So it's not AI, but I'm available to get you started.
Okay, but I come back to my original question, which is, how do I know who you are? How do I know your phone number? And without going to a store, it would never occur to me to go to the store.
Yeah,
because then
word of mouth is one way of doing it. People will tell you where I am or what my number is. Again, it's listed. If you directory
Can
system.
you tell me where it's listed?
I would assume it's in the phone book. It's not an unlisted
I
number.
haven't had a phone book in 30 years.
No, I but word of mouth also, as
Which I do
you were saying, would people would tell you where I am. Again, I'm not hiding. You know, the whole purpose is to get people started, because that's the biggest question is, I would like to do something, what can I do? Or how do I go about doing it?
And I'm not trying to be difficult, but
No, I understand.
again, as a normal person, I right now, I would give up.
I'm gonna take that feedback back and we'll be in touch.
Okay. I next up is Nutmeg. And I know one of you has to leave.
There is a hearing in Nevada that
Yeah,
starts. at-
no, I absolutely, I appreciate that. I was just trying to get a read on if questions with regard to you, Ms. Greenleaf, could be front-loaded, as it were.
Or if we get to time and
Mm.
haven't done it, maybe we can come back. I don't expect the hearing to last a long time, but they scheduled it long before this one was, and I apologize.
Oh,
for
no,
that.
no, absolutely understood. And there will be an opportunity. We'll figure it out. Okay, thank you.
Does Nutmeg maybe have an updated estimate as to their time requirements for this panel?
I will
Not that I expect you to know exactly.
pose that question to them. Okay. Do you have an updated estimate of the time you will need to address this panel?
We do not, but I recognize, was it Doug that had to leave?
It's
Uh,
Jennifer.
Jennifer, it's Ms. Greenleaf has to leave.
We to go quickly. Mic is on. Because of the display monitors not working, Robin created some, I do need one, and the witness panel, please, and Attorney Bester, please. Let's have enough room. Good morning, Attorney Greenleaf and Brian, Mr. Smith.
And Ms. Wedler, before you pose questions, if each member of your panel could identify him or herself for the record, please.
Thank you. Joni Wedler, Executive Director, Nutmeg TV.
Chris Bennett, Director of Information Technologies and Production Services at Nutmeg TV.
Dennis Newell, Director at Nutmeg TV, head of the Strategic Planning Committee.
Now Leo Susi, Vice President of the Board at Nutmeg TV.
Thank you. So I'd like to start with the Certificate of Video Franchise Authority issue. Optimum operates as a competitive video service provider in Area 1 and Area 1 and Area 20 in Connecticut under a Certificate of Video Franchise Authority, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. what is the corporate name for the CVFA holder for Optimum's Area 1 and Area 20?
I believe it's Cablevision of Litchfield.
Thank you. Can you provide us today with any express written authorization from PURA or its predecessor agency, the Department of Public Utility Control, that authorizes Optimum, who is a competitive video service provider, to fulfill the responsibility of serving as a community access provider or a CAP?
Could you restate?
Sure. Are you, can you provide us today with any written authorization from PURA or its predecessor that authorizes Optimum, who is a competitive video service provider, to fulfill the responsibility of serving as a community access provider or CAP?
Optimum's predecessors were previously a CCFA certified competitive provider. I don't know what the acronym means. When we transitioned, we maintained the obligation because we understood that it was an obligation that needed to be handled in those communities. So
As a CFA, yes, but as a CVFA, do you have any written authorization from PURA or its predecessor to continue operation as a CAP?
I
And if
guess I
not-
don't necessarily look at it as authorization as much as obligation. I think we're doing what we're statutorily required to do.
Okay, so would that be a no? That you don't have any written authorization?
There's certainly written authorization regarding the original approval of the CCFAs and the written authorizations of the granting of the transition to a CVFA in each of the areas.
Would you, can we ask for late file exhibit of your letter from 2008 where the company transferred doing business in Connecticut as a CVFA?
Did you already put that into the record?
I didn't. I asked if you wanted me to, and you
Oh.
didn't. But we think that that's important. So as a holder of a CVFA,
Sorry, can I just pause for a second because I need to
certainly.
write this down? Yeah, I believe it's late file 16.
It is correct. It's late filed 16. So the letter from 2008 transferring the business from the CVFA.
so as a CVFA, doing business as a CVFA in Connecticut, are you aware that Optimum's Advisory Council for Area 1 and Area 20 is the statewide advisory council, correct?
To the extent that this is asking them to make a legal opinion, I would just note that that is inappropriate for factual testimony.
Oh, I'm sorry, Attorney Bester. I didn't realize that.
But if it is a simple factual question,
Yes, is as a CVFA holder, is Optimum aware that the Advisory Council for Areas 1 and 20 is the statewide Video Advisory Council?
yeah, I'm going to object to that because it is asking them to make a legal assessment of they're obligated, who they are obligated to have under state law.
Okay.
I would sustain that. So if you can move
Okay.
on to your next question,
Well-
please, Ms. Wedler.
Would you turn to page, have you reviewed our pre-filed testimony?
Yes.
Would you turn to page 68 of the pre-filed testimony?
This is Nutmeg's pre-filed testimony.
Yes.
What page?
Page 68.
Yep. Thank you.
Would one of you please read the fourth paragraph on page 68?
Is this the paragraph right before 162Q?
Yes, ma'am. It starts with Optimum went further.
Sure. Optimum went further. Altice, bracket, Optimum, unbracket. Tentatively supports the concept of consolidating current PEG operations and facilities among larger areas of Connecticut not tied to the traditional franchise service areas, and transferring all remaining MVPD PEG operations to independent PEG operators with a reconceived model for community access. In this new model, independent PEG operators would need to be subject to stricter spending reviews and requirements in order to keep the fees on subscribers as low as is feasible. Do you also want me to read the footnote?
No, that's fine. Thank you
Okay.
very much, Ms. Attorney Greenleaf. As Optimum did not provide subscriber counts to our interrogatory NTV1 when we asked, are Optimum's subscriber counts independently audited?
I'm sorry, did you have a question about what I read, or was this
No, I
independent?
did not.
Oh, okay. Optimum does not do an independent audit of its subscribers because Optimum has its subscribers. We know our numbers. So no, we don't have an independent outside financial audit.
So is Optimum asking Nutmeg TV and Pura to rely on unaudited, undisclosed, and internally generated numbers while refusing to provide any substantiated data?
If Pura, independently of this docket, has any questions about the veracity of Optimum's presentations and its annual filings and any other operations that it does, Optimum is obviously happy to provide that confidentially to Pura outside of this docket. But yes, absent some allegation or claim that we are doing something that is false or misleading, yes, I think that's what we've consistently relied on.
All right, thank you. You have an exhibit in front of you due to the display being inoperable today. If you would look at the first page there, this is Optimum's Area 1 PEG Studio listed at 28 Cross Street in Norwalk, correct?
The picture of the exterior of the building looks like our building on Cross Street in Norwalk, yes.
And you've already said that you reviewed Nutmeg TV's pre-filed and rebuttal testimony in this docket,
Yes.
right? So then you are aware that I personally visited this facility where this picture was taken, as reported in our pre-filed testimony.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So you understand that it contains my firsthand observations as a Joe Smith or Joni Smith visitor to that station, correct?
Yes.
Does the photograph taken with my cell phone show the public entrance to that cross street facility?
Could I just, what month or when did you visit? Just for my knowledge.
I visited in the month of April.
April.
Of 2026? Or of 2025?
2026.
So just last month?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, 2025. Yes.
Okay.
So does this photograph taken with my cell phone show the public entrance to 28 Cross Street?
Again, that exterior building photo does. And for the record, that closed sign certainly is not at Optimum's building.
Do you recall my pre-filed testimony stating that the only unlocked door at 28 Cross Street for the public led to the customer service center? I think you referred to it as the store.
So the front door leads you into a lobby area. You can access the retail store via the lobby area. And then I think this is the outdated kind of bulletin board with public access information. That is also in the lobby area.
Thank you. Do you recall that when I went to, because there were no other open doors, I went to that store and I waited in line and I waited for a customer service employee and I asked, where is the PEG studio? Where was it located? and that person had no idea what PEG was. Do you recall that in my testimony?
I don't recall it specifically, but I'll take your word for it.
Is there a question coming up, or are you just going to ask them to respond to what you have already submitted into the record?
I'm asking questions, Attorney Bester.
Thank you.
What else is located at Optimum's 28 Cross Street building?
As mentioned earlier, it's a office building, but there's also space within the building for technical equipment, including the head end. And then folks that report to that building include construction, field services. I've got space there.
News 12 is a big part of that building, is that correct?
From my understanding, News 12 utilizes Cross Street for editing.
Well, when I look at this photo that you're looking at, the only signs that I see on the building are News 12. There's no signage that identifies a PEG studio. Would that be correct?
On the exterior in the photo, yes.
Ms. Wedler, I'd like a quick question. So you went on a field visit.
I did.
And you, when you talked to the employee that you talked to, did you use the word PEG or did you spell it out?
I did both. Most people don't know what PEG is, so I said public access studio. Where is the public access studio? And they did not know.
Okay, thank you.
If it is helpful, we also have exhibits showing pictures of the studio and the entrance and the bulletin board. I could wait for redirect to introduce those, or I could do it now.
Why don't you wait for redirect to introduce those, Attorney Bester?
Thank you.
you.
It appears oh, I'm
On
sorry.
this topic. Are they going to show these little green signs? Or if not, do you know what these signs say? Because I've been trying to read them.
I do know what those signs say. That is the bulletin board that was referenced in response to Ms. Ash's questions, where it has a phone number and says, if you would like to provide a DVD, if you'd like to take training and do a show, please call this, here's a number that you can call, public access producers. And so I did see that bulletin board, and so I took a photo of it. I then stood there and dialed the phone number, which is on that, which is 860-750-5600, which is also the number that Optimum reports in its PURA annual reports. Is that the correct phone number? 860-750-5600, as reported in your PURA annual reports.
So yeah, that is an Optimum phone number, yes.
That phone number went unanswered and there was no machine or no voicemail identifying public access. Are you aware of that?
From your pre-file testimony, I am.
Thank you.
But if I may, I repeated your field trip yesterday, and the signage is updated in the lobby with a phone number to Jen Olaya, who's the local access programming coordinator for Optimum.
In NTV 5, Optimum responded that it did not have any PEG or public access website. Is that correct?
Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
correct.
So Optimum provides no online information on how to take a class, how to use equipment, or schedule studio use in Area 1. Is that correct?
If you're not counting the TelView access that people can get where they can do their own program scheduling. But yes, outside of that, you're correct.
Right. If I were new and I didn't know what TelView even was, and I just wanted to get more information on training or doing a program, there's no online information to give me that, correct? Based on, I think.
I think if you Googled something like Optimum TelView, it would give you some information, as well as an opportunity to either contact us or create an account through folks like Doug.
So my pre-file testimony continues to state that in News 12, there was a sign that said for deliveries. And so I called that number and I got a News 12 employee who came down and I said, I would like to see the PEG studio, the public access studio. And he said, that's been closed for years. Are you aware of that? From reading my pre-filed testimony, that was my experience?
I am aware of that in the pre-filed testimony, and I'm also aware of the fact that, especially during COVID, the studios did get closed. And then we had a bunch of our people who started going online and using it that way. So studio usage has unquestionably decreased, if that's the point of your
Yeah, the
questioning.
point was I was there to see it and even to talk to a public access employee, and there was no public access employee to come down and answer any questions. And he actually said that they hadn't seen that employee in quite a long time.
And I'm just going to interrupt here. For the purposes of the record, we're going to enter your PowerPoint as late filed Exhibit 17, so it will be included in the record.
Thank you.
Proceed.
Did Optimum provide any evidence to Pura that the studio had not been operational in recent years while continuing to collect subscriber fees?
Would you mind breaking that into two different questions? That
Sure.
felt like a compound to me.
Sure. You had just mentioned that since COVID, there was a change in how operations, and obviously that happened to everybody. And that there weren't a lot of productions being done at that time. And when the studio usage was kind of at zero, did Optimum indicate that with Pura in any way, that that studio was not really operational?
I'm going to quibble with the word operational. The studio is operational. It is available to be used. It is available to be scheduled.
All
But
right.
to your question about whether we notified Pura, yes, we file our annual PEG reports every year that details the amount of time that the studio is open. We file those reports and assume that if we get no feedback from Pura, then we are good, that we are doing everything that we are statutorily and otherwise required to do.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Chris, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Good morning. On your annual report for Area 1 for 2025, on page 5, and under expenses, under salary and wages, as well as payroll taxes, it's $107,000 and $46,000 plus or minus, correct?
That is what the record reflects.
And if we go to page 3, on channel 88, it shows a total number of programs produced annually at this facility, which I would interpret as studio shows, is 0. Number of programs broadcast but produced elsewhere, I assume those are Telview shows, correct? Those are the people who submit Telview content?
Yeah, that's our understanding.
So if my math is correct, over $150,000 of salaries, wages, and payroll taxes is used for 15 programs in Area 1 on the public channel.
Recognizing that it's 15 hours a week, so these are weekly numbers. So yes, over the course of that amount of time with the other things associated with this, absolutely.
Those are total number of programs produced annually is 0, but the total number of programs broadcast but produced elsewhere, that's weekly?
That's my understanding. I'd like to double check on that before.
Mr.
swearing
Harold,
you.
you said schedules? Would he
Mr.
be able
Harold
to-
does Area 20 and not Area 1.
Not Area 1, okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, if I may, thank you. On slide 2 of the PowerPoint, we can see that the usage for studio edit, field other, and training students from 2021 through 2025 have been 0 across the board. These numbers were taken directly out of your annual reports. Are these numbers correct?
If you pulled them out of the annual reports, then I guess they are.
So would 100% of your salary and wages then go to only scheduling content for Area 1 and not any training or studio shows or anything else like that?
Do you mind doing that one more time for me?
Sure. If you're reporting zero numbers of studio edit, field, or training of students since 2021 through 2025, would that mean that 100% of the salary and wages is dedicated towards only scheduling the channels?
I'm cautious about my answer solely because I do know that there is a lot of administrative behind the scenes work that I don't see. So I'm hesitant to say that that is all that it is, but they certainly spend 15% or 17% of their time as it is on PEG related activities for the Norwalk region.
Is there a percentage that you can give then as to the percentage of salaries and wages that would be towards scheduling versus your other activities?
I cannot.
No.
Um, I'm gonna jump real quick to Area 20. And you mentioned earlier this morning that Area 20 has heavily utilization of the studio space. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would you pull up your annual report for Area 20 for 2025? And it's on page 3, the public access numbers again. The total number of programs produced annually at this facility is 12, and the total number of programs broadcast but produced elsewhere is 33, correct?
That is what it says.
And that is Mr. Harold's time on those scheduling and facilitating those productions?
The
Mary-
part that you're referring to doesn't relate to employee time. I'm very confused.
The fact that you're saying that it's heavily utilized in Area 20 for studio shows, you're reporting 12 shows produced annually through the facility, then Mr. Harold's time is mostly dedicated to those 12 shows that were produced annually at the facility and scheduling the 33 shows that were broadcast but produced elsewhere.
Let me check one thing. Hold tight. I'm happy to let Mr. Harold provide more color on this, but my understanding is that those are 12 and 33 that are produced every week. So there are multiple recordings that happen in the studio every week. And so yes, Mr. Harold does spend a significant amount of time in the studio. When we talk about a program, we mean a program that airs weekly. And so it's not just an episode of a program.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. The slides have. On the slides for the usage of Area 20,
Sorry, what page was that?
excuse me, this would be one, two, three, four. This would be the backside of page 4. It says optimum Area 20 at the top.
It's entitled usage.
Got it.
Yes, certainly. In 2025, you reported 12 studio shows and you've trained 28 students, correct?
That
It's-
is what was reported, yes.
Um,
But again, those are not episodes. That's
those are series.
weekly
series of
showings,
shows.
correct?
Did you, read in Nutmeg TV's testimony on the record and the annual reports? In Area 16, over 8 cities and towns, we've created over 400 programs in 2025. Are you aware of that?
I take you at your
Okay.
assertion on that, sure.
Would the heavy usage also work with those 12 shows versus over 400?
Yes, I think so. I think so. I'm not a technical person, but my understanding is that there's a lot of work that goes into doing those. There's a lot of assistance that we provide to people in doing that. So yeah, I think our studio is very actively used.
Great, thank you. Are those two numbers comparable? 12 and 400?
Mathematically, I don't know what you mean by comparable.
The differences between doing 12 series of shows over the course of the year versus 400.
One is bigger, but I don't know what metric you're evaluating on.
That's
I'm-
fine, we can move on for time. Would you say there's an, excuse me. I'm just skipping over some questions that were already asked. Optimum did not dispute any PEG staff, I'm sorry, excuse me, I apologize. I'd like to move to slide 3. This is Optimum Area 1. At the top, it says 2024 annual shows produced at the facility. Slide 3 would be on page 2. It says Optimum Area 1. Do you have it? Yes. If you read our pre-filed testimony, you're aware that Nutmeg TV and Optimum Area 1 are funded approximately the same annually, correct?
I'll take your word at it. I don't recall right now.
Can you explain why the numbers produced in Optimum's Norwalk PEG facility are so poor compared to Nutmeg's?
Again, I'm not trying to be difficult. I really am going to reject the description of it as poor. I think the goal of public access is access, and I think we provide that. The numbers reflect that there are fewer people using it, but that doesn't mean that we're not providing what they want or what they need.
I think this was brought up earlier, but I just want to clarify. Pure requires that every cap is to maintain 3 years of cable cast logs. Is that correct? And it's stated on the annual report, I believe, as well. I can,
To the extent that the question asks their knowledge of a specific legal requirement, I'm gonna object.
On the annual report itself, it states, page 3, records of cable cost cast logs must be maintained by access operator and kept on hand for a minimum of 3 years. So it's on the annual report.
They could respond to the best of their ability, and if they have no knowledge, then.
I see it on the annual.
Okay, so that would be sufficient.
and you've mentioned multiple times you use a TelView system, and this TelView system allows outside users to be able to log into the system to submit their content. Is that correct?
Yes.
And do they schedule their content, or does a staff member schedule their content?
So our employees provide them the time slots.
In looking at your asset list reported in the annual report for 2025, the asset list does not show anything new equipment beyond 2012. Is that correct?
That sounds correct to me.
So has any equipment been purchased that could be on an asset list in the last 13 years, 14 years?
Whatever's reflected in the PEG report is the best of our knowledge information.
Has any equipment been purchased in the last 14 years?
Whatever is on the PEG report, and I'm not trying to be coy. I'm not aware of anything outside of what is reported in the PEG report.
Okay. So your Telview system is older than 2012?
We don't know. Mr. Harrell is saying that he thinks it is newer than that, in which case it may not have been reflected on the report.
May
We
I,
don't report a lot of our expenses, so.
may I ask what model is the Telview? I just need it's a Telview what?
Could we provide that information if we have it as a?
Mr. Harold's right here and he happens to know it. I'd like to know.
We'll have to provide it
We'll
later.
provide it later. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine.
Do we want that as a late filed or would it be possible as a read-in?
I don't know that we'll be able to get it before the end of
Oh.
testimony here. So
Okay,
it could
well,
be
we'll
late
take it
file.
as a late file. So that would be late file 18.
And may I ask for the date purchased of that? Would that be difficult or?
I imagine that is going to be quite difficult because accounting only keeps records for what,
Okay.
7 years, something like that.
That's fine. Yeah.
So
And I'm
just from
specifically, I'm looking for, most playback servers from Telview, from my understanding, have been called hypercasters. So it would be a Telview hypercaster, and maybe there's a letter like a B, C, et cetera, with a number after it. That's all I'm looking for.
So can you say that model B?
It would be like a B100 or a B2000, maybe it's a C100, something like in that manner.
Okay. And
Thank you.
And Mr. Bennett, as we were hoping to break about now, I'm just curious as to, I mean, are we talking 5 minutes,
3
10
more
minutes?
questions.
3 more questions? All right, I think we could take your 3 questions. then.
Certainly. Nutmeg TV submitted to the OCC3 over 200 pages of as-run reports out of our Telview system. You mentioned that it was unduly burdensome to provide those type of records. Is that correct?
I believe that's what we said. I don't have it in front of me. Yes, I'm looking at our exhibit and we said that it was unduly burdensome. We do not keep that in the normal course of business, and there's no way to easily produce a report containing the requested information in a usable format.
Thank you for the clarification on that. Would it surprise you that Nutmeg TV was able to generate those 200 pages of logs in less than 1 minute out of our Telview system, which was purchased in 2018?
I commend your technical expertise. I don't know if it would surprise me or not.
Thank you. So if Optimum does not keep cablecast logs, where do on-air numbers reported for the annual Pure report reported from?
Another quibble. We said that we did not keep it in the normal course of business. I don't think that means we don't have it. It just means that we don't have it in the format that we would want to produce it. So we do use our logs to inform the reports that we file with Pura.
And I believe that's it for me for this section.
All right, thank you. At this point, the plan was to recess for lunch.
is that all of Nutmeg's questioning?
No.
Oh, that was
Okay.
just a section.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have an understanding of how much time generally is the rest of Nutmeg's question?
We're about halfway.
Okay.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you. Yeah. There are exigent reasons why we're going to recess now. So we will return in 45 minutes, which would make that 1:20. Am I? Thank you.